Are you sure you want to know? Like, do you really want to know? If so, spoiler alert. So off the top of my head, Andrew Jackson's presidency essentially just destabilizes most established federal institutions. For example, he ignores the Supreme Court. Whenever the Supreme Court makes a decision he doesn't like, he's literally like, you go down and enforce it. And it's like, no, that's literally your branch's job. He wields the veto so much that Congress essentially becomes his puppet. For example, when Congress passes and he approves an insanely high tariff known as the tariff of abominations, and some states try to push back using what they think is their state's rights to kind of nullify that tariff. In this case, South Carolina, typical, right? He just literally sends down the federal military and is like, try me. He vetoes the renewal of the second bank of the United States and instead takes the federal money and spreads it across state banks known as pet banks because they're like his own little personal pets. He specifically chooses a lot of these banks because they're where a lot of his supporters are, or they might even just be banks owned by some of his supporters. And this leads to an economic panic. He disrupts and breaks down the entire established party system to where for a few years it's literally just like, well, are you with him or are you against him? And that's how you determine your political status. So you're like a Jacksonian Democrat or you're everyone else. And everyone else tries and struggles to combat this powerful kind of voting bloc. He leads to this wave of Jacksonian Democrats into office that are riding the backs of the white male common man voter. They're massively expansionist. They're using the rhetoric of manifest destiny. Eventually we end up with kind of the poster boy, James K. Polk, who leads us into the Mexican-American War. But honestly, it's not really until the tragedy and massive chaos of the Civil War that we finally establish a strong enough counter party, the Republican Party, to counter the power of Jacksonian democracy.